Happy New Year and welcome to Social Adventures, Conversations from the Trail. This is your host, Jeff Hester, and it's a brand new year, 2026. This episode is brought to you by the Six Pack of Peaks Challenge and Social Hikers. New for 2026, we have a brand new program where one registration or one membership fee gives you access to 17 plus challenges. So check it out at socialhiker.net and let's go check out this show.
All right. Welcome to the Social Adventures Podcast. This is the show where we explore the stories behind the miles, the community, and the discoveries that we make outdoors. I'm your host, Jeff Hester, and today we're headed down to San Diego County with two hikers who really know that region better than almost anybody, Chris Griffith and Susie Slater. They completed the legendary 100 Peaks Challenge, 100 Peaks that Derek from 100peaks.com put together, as well as the Sierra Club 100 Peak list. So they've done a lot of peak bagging down in that area, and they've explored every nook and cranny of San Diego's urban and backcountry trail networks. And they've got a new book coming out this March, Urban Trails San Diego, published by Mountaineers Press. So welcome to the show, guys. I really appreciate you guys coming on. I'm going to first just ask Chris if you could just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what makes you tick, your work.
Sure.
How did hiking become part of your life?
Well, my work right now actually is I'm a grad student at the University of Colorado Boulder studying outdoor recreation economy. So I've reached a point where the passions and education are colliding. Really started hiking, in the mid 2015s or so, just some light stuff. I was a pretty serious sea kayaker, had a nice 18.5 foot Seaward Chilco, and would paddle off the coast of San Diego and other spots. And from there, I actually kind of got bored and just started light hiking. I actually knew Derek through my previous career in user experience design, which then sort of stumbled into his hiking challenge. I didn't really pick it up and really that challenge until within sort of the 2018, 2019 timeframe. I actually finished his challenge in 2019, which is actually where I met Susie. And from there, our paths sort of kept intertwining more and more because we then decided to continue on and work on the Sierra Club list kind of together and wound up writing a book. And from there, we hike all the time. Actually, last Saturday, we're out in Anza Borrego off to some obscure little peak out near Carrizo Gorge called Front Benchmark for no particular reason other than it was fun.
Good fun, yeah. And I see, for those who are watching on the video, you've got a couple posters behind you on the wall. One for the Derek's 100 Peaks Challenge, as well as the Sierra Club 100 Peak list. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Susie, welcome to the show. Why don't you introduce yourself a little better and tell us a little bit about, who you are and how you got into hiking.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me and us, Jeff, on your podcast. Such a cool experience. My name's Susie. My day job is I'm a pediatric occupational therapist, and I've been doing that for quite some time. One of my hobbies is yoga, and I've also been a yoga instructor at Core Power Yoga for about 13 years. And I'm also back in school now, too. I'm pursuing my doctorate in occupational therapy, which is my profession, and I just completed my first semester with that. I'm also an avid daily hiker. Just in the community that I live in, there's a canyon next to my workplace where I hike most of my lunch breaks during the work week. So I'm a big advocate for accessibility in the outdoors. Prior to becoming a hiker, I was a pretty significant runner. I ran half marathon races in 2015 every year. I'm sorry, rather every month of the year. So at least 12 I did
Every
that
month.
year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a cool
And I did
challenge.
that with my brother. So for Christmas that year, he gave me a pair of hiking boots for Christmas in December at the end of the year. And he said, I think, you should hike Mount Whitney or you should get into hiking. So the first hike we did together was Santiago Peak, the 16-mile route.
Oh, yeah.
And I got blisters on my feet from those hiking boots, but I think I was hooked from there.
Oh, nice. All
Yeah,
right.
that was in 2016. And then we worked on the six pack of peaks, the original one, Baldy, San Bernardino, Cucamonga, all those big hikes. And then the next year in 2017, I was looking to become a more frequent hiker. So I saw the 52 hike challenge and that movement. I thought that would
Mm-hmm.
be really great, but I was struggling to come up with hikes in my area. And that's when I was introduced to the San Diego 100 Peaks Challenge, which initiated in 2017 to complete this list of 100 peaks in a calendar year. And I was able to do that. And at that time, I did not have a very strong skill set for what that required, which was a lot of navigation without trails. So that 2017 was a huge year for me in terms of learning how to be an outdoors person. So, I'm continuing to learn every day, but that year was a big year. And Chris eventually became interested in that challenge, and I did some hikes with him. And then we continued to build our community of hikers when pursuing the other significant hiking list in San Diego, which is the Sierra Club 100 Peaks list.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So you got into this quite a decade ago, basically, just about. So the 52 hike challenge got you kind of excited about doing a hike every week and that sort of thing. Sounds like you were trying to do a different hike every week, not some of the no repeats. Is that a rule of that challenge, or that
It's not a rule of
personally?
that challenge, but I think for myself, I wanted to do that. I'm also a very intrepid traveler. I've traveled a lot in my life, and I kind of equate hiking with traveling in intimate exploration, on a micro level. So I was looking to explore San Diego more, and this is where I grew up. I was born and raised here, although I went to college and have lived in other places, and I'm back here again. But I really wanted to have experience of finding new things. And when you live in a huge county like San Diego County, you have a lot of diversity that perhaps you're not even aware of. So I think the 52 hike challenge, thinking of a hike a week at that time, I thought of it as a new hike a week.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. So let's talk a little bit about the 100 Peak Challenge, because that's no small feat in itself to complete that. What drew you to do something like that, especially since you were kind of new to hiking, and you know, it sounds kind of crazy. Do you have any naysayers, any friends or family that you're like, oh, what are you doing? Or did you have friends that you would hike with, or how did that work?
I think for me, everyone in my life was pretty positive about it. I tend to be like all in on things that I do. So I
Mm-hmm.
think people are used to that. And I had very supportive people around me. Um, at the time I started the year of 2017, I was afraid to hike by myself, believe it or not. I actually had joined a meetup group to go to Piles Peak, which is you hike it with Coles Mountain, which is the most popular hike in San Diego County. It's the high point in the city of San Diego. So I looking back on that, the fact that I thought I required someone to guide me to that is really laughable. But I just wasn't confident in my skills.
Yeah.
Um, I became very confident. I had my dad would go out with me, family, friends, my partner at the time. And through some Facebook groups, actually, I met other people that were pursuing the challenge.
Mm.
My good friend Han, she was with me on my 100th peak. She was the second finisher of it. she finished, a few days after I did.
And you were the
But
first person to finish it, right?
yes,
Like
yeah.
ever.
Ever.
And I
Wow.
mean, Derek had made this list and he had not hiked all of these hikes. So no one had in its entirety. I actually think people had hiked all of these hikes, but they weren't pursuing this challenge and doing it within this time frame. But there's a lot of people that are out there that have been out there for a long time.
Yeah.
But his list is very interesting. So my group grew of people that could support me while doing this, that were also doing it. Because at that time, 2017, now you pop into All Trails. I know you had Philip on your podcast recently, and he also completed this challenge. And I believe he uploaded tracks to All Trails, and other people that have done it have. So there were some, GPS recordings that you could look at to study. And at the time, in 2017, there was not that. So you're kind of going out this blind, trying to figure out the best method of approach. And I think he meaning Derek, there's some easier hikes on there that are pretty local and suburban. So it like gets you hooked, right? Like, oh, I can do this. And then once you're deep in, you're out there in Anza Borrego Desert, and it's trailless navigation, and you're trying to put together routes. And hard stuff. Hard stuff.
Those are hard to follow. Yeah, it's kind of like a drug dealer, like here the first one's free, but wait till you see, we'll get you hooked first, and then you're gonna curse my name later.
You've done half, you've done 75%, and then you look at like the last 25%, and it's gnarly. But you're in it, and it's the best, right? To be out there exploring and pushing yourself. I mean, I think that's why challenges are such a big part of, especially Southern California hiking culture. I mean, we love it. We love lists. We love challenges.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Chris, so what about you? What drew you to do the 100 Peaks Challenge and get involved in that?
Actually, it was initially boring, the boredom of sea kayaking. Like Susie was saying, there's only, repeating the same thing over and over.
Sea kayakers from the show now. They're like, unsubscribe. We don't,
Done. Yeah, well, the sport actually is dwindling in some regards, but it's like you're paddling the same waters over and over again, And so I was really looking for something more to do, and in conversations with Derek, sort of discovered this. I sort of started the challenge actually in 2017, but like in April. So there was no way I was going to do it within that calendar year time frame. And then I had some foot issues. So I sort of wound up sort of resetting in 2019. There was actually no finishers in 2018. So Susie and Han finished, nothing in 18. I was the first male to finish in 2019, the only finisher in 2019. And it's kind of the same thing. It's like if you ever driven across the U.S., you're halfway through the Midwest, you're going, how many states have I been through? And like, what's it going to take to do all 50? That same sort of cascade. I have a couple other passions that have that same problem: American space capsules, high points, etc. Yeah. And just kind of went at it. And Susie hit the nail on the head back then. There was very little data about some of these peaks. I mean, some of the things that Derek has on his list that have survived are like, peak, 1572. Where is that? So you sort of become a lot more confident in reading your map and some deep sleuthing of, oh yeah, this is what we got to do, and figure out how to like read the terrain and go at it from there.
Yeah. So it sounds like there was some detective work almost to try to figure out where the trail is, how to approach the peak. Do you go from the west, the east,
I mean, that's literally how I met Susie. I tried to go up Shug Peak and ran into basically a brush wall and had okay, I'm clueless. And Susie had recently done it, and I reached out through her, probably through Facebook or something, and say, hey, can you give me some pointers? And he's like, oh, I'll go out with you again. And, from that, a wonderful friendship has formed.
The
And
first time I did that peak, my clothing was ripped to shreds. I have a picture. My pants are literally ripped to shreds. It's funny when I look back on it, but man, it's a bushwhack.
So
and it's still a bushwhack. So I mean, anyone who's listening who's going out to show, take the old clothes. Don't take that that beautiful, nice new shirt that you got for the holidays or something.
Ooh, okay. So what were some of the toughest? Either one of you, what were some of the toughest or most surprising peaks? You already mentioned there's a few softballs in there. They're kind of easy. What were some of the toughest ones?
I mean, I did my final two peaks were in Anza-Borrego in the Santa Rosa Mountains, Villager and Mile High. They're both monsters, and I did them together like a Y. I think it was like 6,000 feet of elevation gain, maybe more. Yeah, it was very, very difficult, and I think the Villager, people talk about Villager because it's a well-known desert peak and it has a kind of good ridge with a use trail, but Mile High is the next one over. So you drop down into a canyon and then back up, which was quite challenging. So for me, that was a big monster.
One hike or?
Yeah, I did it together, and I would never do that again.
Hold on, Susie, you're selling yourself short. The fact you also are carrying a Pyrex with a pie in it to celebrate your 100th does add a little something onto the difficulty level. So, yeah.
I think I had a couple. I think I had a couple pies in a glass.
Why did you
container.
bring a pie on a hike?
It was.
Like that?
I think I brought one for my two hiking companions, so 3 pies in a Pyrex container.
Bribery.
Because that's what we decided that would be our celebration. Chris also had pies at his celebration for the Sierra Club list, but we had them after the hike where we parked the cars.
Much more sensible. Yes, right.
Yeah, we had pies for your Sierra Club 100. So that's basically our tradition is you finish 100, pie is given.
Pie. There will be pie.
Hey, we know we have some good pie companies down here, so got to keep it local.
So
I also think.
Go ahead.
Indian Head is really hard. It's still on there. It's also out in Anza-Borrego. It's a challenge. It's kind of a trailless hike, so there's multiple routes, but I think that's a DPS peak. So there are like written established routes for that. One is going through Borrego Palm Canyon, which has a lot of boulders and water. Then you get to very steep and crumbly terrain, and then there's other routes that are very steep and crumbly, and that one's challenging as well.
What trails in that list do you feel were like underrated gems, things that you kind of surprised you by its beauty, or it was a really nice experience, the solitude, or something about it that really you feel it's underappreciated?
Oxenita is a nice one, which is in the Cuyamacas. Now, kind of short, nice view.
What was
one of those? Oxenita. So take oak and manzanita and kind of smash them together.
Okay.
And it's a nice short enough trail. It's about 6-7 miles round trip, depending on if you loop it or not. Great views. It's also one of those great sort of gateway peaks where it's like, oh, this is fun, and then next thing you know, you're scrolling online and how to finish the next 100 or so. So Monument Peak's another good one. Not really that challenging, but it's right at the drop off between the lagunas and the desert. So I just took a friend out there about a month and a half ago, and we're cruising along. You have a little section on the PCT, so it's a little fun. You kind of there's some communication towers at the top, and she comes up to the towers, but she's looking back to the west at all the forest, which is just beautiful. And then all of a sudden, she actually then spins around and then just sees the expanse of Anza-Borrego. And she almost fell back on sort of the shock of the beauty. And I'm like, yeah, that's why we hike.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm going to say go out on a limb here with a monster hike that I think is underrated, and that's Agua Tibia Mountain out of Dripping Springs. So it's kind of closer to Temecula, but it's wide open wilderness up there. It's beautiful. And the first time I hiked it with its neighboring peak, Eagle Crag, and that's a marathon. It is literally a marathon's worth of miles. And so I didn't have the best experience, but I've since gone back for just Agua Tibia, and I love that.
All right, Agua Tibia. Good. Thanks for those tips. Do you have any advice for somebody aspiring to do something like the 100 Peak Challenge? You know, what advice would you give? And that's 100 peaks in one calendar year. So, I mean, did you break it up pretty evenly month by month, or were there some months where you kind of avoided because of the heat?
To attempt the 100 peak, Derek's 100 peak challenge, the key word is logistics. So it's a combination of knowing where your peaks are. So, there's this limited window out in the desert. So figuring out how to get out and get your desert peaks in. And in reality, it's more like, January, February. It's not necessarily November, December are often almost a little too warm for them. So they're more at the tail end. Desert hiking is a completely different beast than what most people are used to. So much of it is no trail, there you have cacti and crumbly rock. So there's sort of a step up in your hiking skill set that needs to come into play for there. Then, August gets hot down here. I mean, we actually shut down quite a few peaks down here. Like El Cajon Mountain is closed in August. So you have some of that logistical stuff. Knowing where they are in the map. So, playing to an advantage is, here are some that are really close together. So you're hopscotching, where you may be doing 2, 3, 4 a day, where you're just like, okay, I'm just going to plow through them. They're usually short, but you're also like, okay, this is next to this, and you just sort of, cluster them. But you need to have an awareness. I mean, the classic mistake so many people do, there's the 5 Peak Challenge of Mission Trails Regional Park. It's closed, but people still do it all the time. And invariably, someone will go up Cowles Mountain and come back down and not realize that you needed to continue on over to Piles. And that's the only way they do it. And you see so many people with, tear emojis posting the line, I didn't know I needed to go on, and I got to go up again. So,
yeah. Extra mileage. So you mentioned El Cajon, the hardest peak in San Diego.
Not even by a long shot.
Not by a long shot. No. Okay.
It breaks my heart to hear that. If people think that's all there is to hiking in San Diego, you are mistaken.
Where did that come from? Where did that start? Do you guys know?
It is brutal. It is steep.
Tough, sure.
It's you go up and you go down, up on both directions. That area, it gets quite warm. That's one of the preserves that gets closed, actually, because of heat. But I think it's just people have limited knowledge, and it's perpetuated in social media that this is it. This is the pinnacle of San Diego hiking. And then it becomes kind of like a macho man type thing that I can hike this and I can hike it fast. And
it's funny.
I used to write this column for a Facebook group, and it was like it was Trail Tuesday, trying to expose people to the variety that there is in San Diego, because there's so much. It's amazing. But I get that some people are looking for more of an exercise or training, and in that it is good. It is good for that.
Yeah, there's different kinds of trails, right? I mean, there's different kinds of hikes, let me put it that way, because some have trails. Some have signage,
I would qualify El Cajon as the hardest hike in San Diego with a maintained trail. And you kind of cap it at that. And then there's a whole nother class of beyond that, where it's like, oh, wait, here are happy little signs that tell you, hey, it's, another 2 miles to the summit. All right, let me tell you about these other 50 out here, or 25 that,
Right.
Okay,
No signs.
no signs, maybe a used trail if you're lucky.
Well, this is really cool. So tell me, you guys, you connected through the 100 Peaks Challenge and started hiking together, and somewhere along the way, you went from being avid hikers to being authors. So let's talk a little bit about how Urban Trails San Diego came to life. How did that begin? Anyone? Jump in.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think what happened is in 2020, during the COVID pandemic, Scott Turner had reached out to me because he had updated the hiking Bible, we call it, A Foot in a Field, which was Jerry Shadd's book for San Diego County. And he decided that he didn't want to update it. So he kind of like sparked this interest in writing. So at first he had said like, oh, would you guys help get beta for these trails because he knows we're out there. And then it was like, I'm not going to do this. And I contacted the publisher for that, and they actually chose someone. I was like hemming and hawing, and they chose someone that it does not live in San Diego, if he's listening to this. So that kind of hurts because this is such a tight hiking community. I mean, I know and love this city and county, and so does Chris. And I think once that happened with the Foot in a Field, we kind of started talking about perhaps writing a book related to the 100 Peaks, or something of that matter. And then Chris saw that there was an established series called Urban Trails Through Mountaineers, and they did not have a San Diego book. So he kind of spearheaded writing the book proposal for that. And and also during the COVID pandemic, I kind of switched out my mentality. I was always a list person. And in that year, I became a mileage person and a frequency person. So in 2020, I wanted to hike 2,020 miles, and I did it. So it was just about getting out there and exploring because we couldn't drive far distances. Sometimes we could only walk in our own neighborhood. And I still saw beauty in that, in being outdoors and being in nature. And I think that Urban Trails is awesome to encourage other people that might not have the resources, the time to do big bucket list type things, but you can still get that experience where you live.
So I was living. I'm gonna just jump in here and butt in for a second and share a story, because I was living in LA during COVID. And one of the things that I did just for fun, I guess, I was doing an urban hike, not really a hike, more of a walk. I had my dogs with me, and I was tracking it on GPS. So I created a GPX track, and my goal was to create, if you were to look at it and turn that track, 90 degrees, so you're looking at it at like an elevation profile. There was no elevation really, because it was all but it was going to be like you went up this mountain and down the mountain and back, and I just thought that would be kind of a fun thing to do. So we did a lot of crazy stuff back during COVID.
That makes me think of people on Strava that like make dogs or different shapes with their routes too. Oh yeah, messages. I love it.
Yeah, or awesome. A marriage proposal. That's the commitment.
Run the route. So talk a little bit about what an urban trail means in the context of your book. I mean, I kind of have an idea of what that means, but what does that mean in the context of your new book?
Realistically, something truly in an urban environment. Like Susie was saying, we're not looking at, this does not have, hey, you're going to drive for 2 hours to some sort of trailhead. This is, something that, you can probably get to in maybe 10 minutes. Take public transportation to. I mean, that was one of the big things from the publisher, and we definitely agreed. Hey, how can you, take, MTS or bus system or the trolley to this spot and enjoy some of these wonderful spots within San Diego? For those who really don't know San Diego's geography, it is so interesting and diverse. I mean, obviously we have our coast, but we also are filled with sort of mesas and canyons. And those canyons are just, filled with trails, partly because of sewer routes, but And so we have all these little hidden pockets of nature throughout. We have Balboa Park, we have Mission Trail, so we have some other large regional parks as well. Can we work and get out into these places and get people ways to go explore beyond just, trying to find something online in something in a physical form? And actually the form factor of the book is meant to be something that you could slip into a back pocket of a pair of jeans. It's really meant to be something portable and usable that you could throw in, like in a day pack even or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of one of the boundaries with the publishers. Like, you have this many words because this is the shape and scope of the work. So
how many trails do you cover in the book?
52. We hit 52. We set that as a challenge. Kind of a nod back to the 50. I mean, I am actually a moderator on the 52 hike challenge. So it's like, hey, let's just kind of tie all this together. So
awesome.
Yeah, one for every week of the year.
And do they go, like what kind of mileage are they? Are they kind of all over the map? Do some of them go through like Balboa Park, and some of them are more like a little more wilderness trails and hikes, or?
Yeah, most of them are pretty short. We tried to keep it pretty short, like up to 5-6 miles. There are some longer ones
sure.
as well. And then in each hike, we tried to provide a way to go further. So either additional trails in the area, a different trail that you can loop onto that. So it is different. I wrote the sections on Balboa Park, and I highlighted, I think, 5 trails in Balboa Park of different varying lengths. But there's over 20 miles of trails in Balboa Park. So really highlighting the diversity. If you are looking to create longer routes for training for other things, I think you can do that. But we tried to keep it pretty manageable for day trips.
Yeah, a lot of people could do these and just kind of knock it out in a day very easily and explore that area, get to know that corner of San Diego. Talk a little bit about the research process, and was it hard to come up with 52 trails that kind of fit the criteria you were looking for?
Not for me. I mean, this is like my lifeline. And I think during COVID, I talked about my mileage challenge, but I also found a list of all the canyons in San Diego. And that's what I did. I went to all the canyons in San Diego to see if they had trails, because the city of San Diego owns most of them, but they may or may not have established trails. And they have a website with a list of about 10, but there's a lot more that have trails with signage even, but you wouldn't know that until you go there and explore it.
Oh, wow.
But I had lots of ideas for routes that I take just on walks, different things like hidden stair sets in different areas of the city that I combine into routes to work on going uphill, but on a paved surface.
What's an example of a good hidden stair trail that's in your book?
Well, my favorite one that's not well known is in the Rolando Village area. They created a series of catwalks, so stairs and ramps, and there's 8 different ones that I created a 2.4 mile loop. I just love that area. The houses are so cute, and they decorate nice for all the holidays. So that's my favorite. Another popular one is the La Mesa. They call it Secret Stairs. The top of that is Mount Nebo, which is now all houses, but it's a peak. And there's a steep set of stairs to go up that. So it'll get your heart pumping, and it's only like a mile and a half. And you can do repeats of that over and over if you want to get your stairs in.
All right. Yeah. So good training for just getting the stair, sort of a physical stairmaster.
Yeah. And I was telling Chris this weekend that I'll do that because I live in the area. I'll do it after work, and I'm wearing like sandals and a dress And I was doing it last week. I got a blister wearing Birkenstocks on the sole of my foot. But then I looked at my Strava because I also track everything, and it was like my second fastest time. I was like, wow, in a dress
In
and with sandals.
Birkenstocks.
I was really powering up those stairs.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. All right.
I'm not
So,
advising that for most people, but for
how
the
did you
crazy
guys
ones.
split up the trails or the work for the research? Did you do it geographically, or how did that work?
It was kind of haphazard. We had a spreadsheet after we had a preliminary list of hikes, which then changed because I think it was more of me being like, oh, this route is really good, or I like this better than that, or this canyon has less debris and it's nice. And then we just kind of went at it. We tried to keep the same author for the bigger parks. So Chris, for example, took the Mission Trails Park. I took Balboa Park, and Torrey Pines, which has two sections, and I kept it just to two hikes, but put most of the trails in those areas within those routes.
Okay.
Yeah, the real
Chris.
challenge we had was we actually had we had more hikes that would fit than could fit into the book. So we really had to like figure that whole problem out because Rolando Catwalks is such a great hidden gem. But if we start putting in some of the other ones in like North County, San Diego, those would have fallen off the list. And we didn't want that. We wanted to find those hikes, those urban trails, really, and also some underserved areas, parts of San Diego. So we also wanted to make sure that, like, oh, hey, Choyos Lake and Dictionary Hill and some stuff down in the South County of San Diego had representation within the book. So, and then there were some discoveries that, hey, let's try this canyon. And I went and hiked it and with a friend and we hiked down it and like, no, do you even want to hike back? No, actually, let's just call a lift. And we actually took a lift back to the car. I'm like, no, I don't want to roll an ankle here. This one's getting crossed off.
And my personal
And
opinion is it's not that bad because I've seen much worse. But yes, there's a lot of river rock, and I don't think it gets that much love from people using it and taking care of it.
yeah.
But yes.
All right. Well, the question is for both of you. I'll do Chris first. So, Susie, you get a chance to think a little bit longer. What's one trail from the book that you think every new San Diego resident should hike?
Every That's a good one. One of the trails that I fell in love with doing actually is Shepherd Canyon in Sierra Santa. It's sort of a nice mix just of showing these little hidden things, not too canyony, that you can do and have a little fun. There's a little duck pond back in there, so you get a little water feature, always good. That's a little not on everyone's sort of top 10 list. So
Okay. So a
I
little
would,
bit
I would throw I would throw that one out. Yeah,
underappreciated, got some nice features.
pretty
Nice.
accessible. There's a bus stop nearby, two freeways nearby, so you're gonna be able to get to it and
Get
that
to
sort
it.
of thing.
Yeah. Susie, how about you?
Oh, I'll go with the popular area because if you're asking what I would recommend for someone that's a San Diego resident, and it's going to be our national parks property, which is Cabrillo National Monument. I love it there. It's the tip of Point Loma. It's so beautiful, unspoiled coast, sea caves, history there. It's actually, I shot the cover of the book on a trail in Cabrillo. I love Cabrillo, and that's what I'm going to go with.
All right.
And now that it has that connector trail from the top, so it used to have just two primary trails, one right along the coast, which is fantastic, which you can actually bring a dog on, and then there's the Bayside Trail. But you really couldn't like go anywhere from the lighthouse down safely. What was it, about a year ago when they opened up the Oceanside Trail? I think it's about a year ago.
It's been about a
So you
year
can
and a
now,
half.
yeah.
I
So
mean,
now you can go from the
you
main
could
parking lot
connect.
as a hike.
You could connect walking on a road that cars drive on. So I always had my own route there. But yes, now there is a trail that
It's a real trail. I
It's a
used to
real
work out in Point Loma, so I would be out there all the time as well. But yeah, Susie's right. That is also, even if you're bringing someone out of towner, yeah, that's a multi-win location.
Okay, so I want to ask you, what advice would you give for somebody who wants to write an outdoor hiking guide? Like, urban trails for, I don't know, some other town doesn't have an edition of that yet. What would you say to somebody who's interested in that?
Get used to taking a lot of notes when you're out on the trail. I mean, it really does shift. So, I
Like,
mean,
what was your technique for taking notes on the trail?
a lot of pictures, because that gave me visual references back and forth, because we knew when we were making the maps, which we later learned that were actually hand drawn before they were given to the publisher, of, oh, there's a bench here. Let me take a photo. That's going to be GPS marked. I can now figure out where all these things truly are. I just would immediately just jot down a whole bunch of information on junctions here and junctions there. I've been blogging my adventures, but those were more diary style. So it wasn't, turn by turn directions is not something I do on the blog. I mean, my GPX routes are there, so you can derive that yourself. That's the big thing, is learning how to actually find your voice and write that sort of a navigational point of view. And that's where handing that over to, friends and family to beta test your route descriptions of, is this understood of how to navigate? Because you really do shift from a passive to an active observer of what's going on around you. What are people going to be looking for to navigate? So it is a very different and at times challenging skill set.
Does it take you longer to do a hike when you're hiking it with that purpose, with that intention?
Yeah, because you're literally like, you're having to keep an eye out, because you may ignore a little slide trail that isn't there, but you're like, wait, if this is someone who's just starting hiking, they might get confused at this point.
Yeah.
And and get wonder. I mean, you see this all the time online of people becoming confused. How do you attempt to reduce that confusion? In a small amount of words. That's always a challenge.
Yeah. Susie, I think one of the answers that I'm anticipating you might give is live in the area that you're writing about. Any other advice that you would give for somebody who wants to write a hiking guide?
I think that's perfect, Jeff. I mean, I hike some of these routes over and over. So it's interesting. I told you I originally became interested in hiking as a way to experience new things. Well, these hikes over and over and over and over and over to try to get the best information I could. It helped that this was an established series, Urban Trails, in which they had guidelines for what we included and then specific word counts. So it would be, you have to keep this to 200 words. So that was helpful in terms of streamlining information, although it was edited down even more, especially me, because I would like geek out on the backstory and history. It got edited down quite a bit. Taking notes is important. I had one friend, Erica, who hiked every single one of my routes, and she did an amazing job with providing me feedback. So I'm very thankful for her. She was amazing, and I think she had fun doing it too, but it was without taking a GPS, just using my word, can you do this? And she could, with some edits, of course, but I think that's what we're going for.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. We'll come back to the book and when it's coming out and how people can get it a little bit later, but I wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk about sort of the hiking culture in San Diego. And you've been doing this for a while. How have you seen the hiking culture in San Diego change? What are some of the things that the challenges that hikers in San Diego face? as far as weather or access or crowds or parking or public transportation? What's the sort of the state of hiking in San Diego?
I think it's dramatically increased the amount of people getting outdoors within the past 10 years, exponentially so since the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, it's great to see people out there, but I think with that brings a problem, which is overcrowding
Mm.
and the stuff that comes along with that: difficulty parking at trailheads, car break ins, trash,
Some
noise
bad
pollution, I
behavior.
like to
Yeah.
call it. People with their boom boxes. And then we have some safety issues in terms of, I mean, I've said I go up the Little Mesa Secret Stairs wearing Birkenstocks, but most people need to have the 10 essentials when you're doing major hikes. You need to have water and first aid kits and all that kind of stuff. And we see a lot of rescues in places that shouldn't require them because
Mm.
people are working outside of their skill set and not doing it in a safe way. So I think that those are some of the challenges. But I do think in terms of the culture, we're an outdoors city. We have beautiful weather. The issues would be basically when it's hot in the summertime, but you can still find cool coastal hikes and canyon hikes and urban trails on pavement that are accessible to do. But I do think that we live in the perfect place to get outside, and people are doing that. So, and you want to encourage that, but just
Hmm.
doing it in a safe manner.
Chris, how about you? What are some of the things that notes you have about hiking culture in San Diego?
I mean, the one of the beauties of San Diego is we have such a diverse nature from like, oh, I want to do a coastal hike and, maybe I'll spot a whale as I'm strolling down, you know, Torrey Pines once it reopens again. To, oh, wait, we actually got some snow lagunas and I can put on some waterproof boots. I don't need crampons or anything, but I can go around the edge of a meadow and experience some snow, or a little further out into the desert or the foothills. So having that wide diversity has really kept the momentum of hiking around here. Of,
Hmm.
you're not just doing just this or that. Now, Susie's right. There's a lot of overcrowding. Classic hike down here is Mount Woodson with the potato chip. People
Hmm.
love going up to Woodson, climbing out of the potato chip. But I mean,
We
you
we
get
hiked that together. Yeah.
Disneyland. Yes, we did. But you go there on a weekend to get out onto that potato chip. They're changing the whole parking system over there because of overcrowding and safety
Hmm.
issues. So, that's where we're seeing, sort of the impact of, the continued movement, sort of, post COVID, getting outside. And, it's not as organized as I would say how I sort of view, like, say, LA seems to have a whole lot of meetup, like, type of groups going out. Like, so a lot of times when I'm up Ice House Saddle up there, a lot of times I'll see, large groups. I don't see as many large groups down here, but I definitely see a lot of people.
Hmm. Okay. Well, let's talk about some practical advice for the listeners. Like what are some of the best advice you've kind of started hiking pretty close to each other? You transitioning from running, Susie, and Chris transitioning from sea kayaking. What would you tell that those what would you tell yourself if you could go back in time to do differently, or what you wish you knew back then as you were starting out?
Hmm. Yeah, why was I wearing cotton in those early days? I mean,
Cotton
I
kills.
stumbled through some
I
old.
mean,
I looked at some of these old pictures. I'm like, wait, look, I'm on top of San Jacinto. Oh yeah, I'm wearing a regular T-shirt.
I've got pictures of myself backpacking with Levi's 501s and a cotton
Oh,
T-shirt.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
Jeans.
it's the thing you can do. I mean, and live to tell about
Yes.
it. The saying, among those who know would be cotton kills. You should be wearing, for a long time it was tech tees and that sort of thing. And now it seems to be more natural fibers like merino wool and stuff like that. Whatever floats your boat, whatever works for you. But the idea is something that's going to wick. It's not going to keep you wet, which then you get cold if you're on the mountaintop and it's cold out. That's. But the beauty of hiking, in my mind, or one of the things that I like about it, is you don't really need a lot of stuff to get started. And you can start wearing, a cotton t-shirt and the sneakers you've got. And then when you start to get a little more serious, you go, oh, I think it'd be more comfortable if I was wearing those trail shoes, or these boots and a tech shirt, something that's going to wick the moisture away and so on.
But to really answer your question, learning a lot more about sort of hydration, nutrition, and sun protection. I think if you pick up some of those three things, even on the small things, will serve you over the long term. I think understanding, no, don't go out with that, 16-ounce bottle of, Arrowhead or Kirkland water. You might want to take a little bit more. Figure out how to snap a little better. Yeah. I mean, I have a Flash Mountain, which is a peak right behind me. I do a ton. Had a heat-related death a year ago, and the summit's only 1,500 feet, and houses are completely around it, all within sight. They were out on an extremely hot day and didn't have enough fluids to make the journey, and sadly passed. I just had my annual skin cancer check at the dermatologist today, and there's a reason why I have a sun hoodie and sun gloves and long sleeves and long pants. So understanding that,
Yeah, for sure. Susie, how about you? Anything that you would tell yourself if you could go back in time?
Oh, yes. There's a lot, but I think the biggest thing for me is to feel confident in hiking. And now I do probably 99% of my hiking solo. It's navigation and knowing how to read maps and how to navigate trailless areas. If you try to go out there without knowledge, it's not safe. And I think I've been lucky to have some really amazing mentors and people that are so strong and gifted in that manner. So I've been able to learn a lot. Of course, I've taken courses as well, but navigation, orientation, feeling comfortable on different types of terrain if you're going to be more adventurous. I hate rocks, actually. I've cried, but you would never know that now because I'm up there climbing up the rocks with the best of them, but it makes my heart drop. But gaining skills and confidence in that has been great.
That's great. Let's do a quick round of some quick questions. I'm going to fire these off, and we'll start with Susie on this, and then I'm going to alternate between the two of you. So I've got different questions for each of you. And we'll see we'll have some fun with this. So, Susie, your favorite trail snack?
I mean, it could be that pie that I brought up to the top of my line.
Pie, clearly.
But I do love a good Snickers. You got the chocolate, the nuts, all that together.
Except you have to protect it from melting is the only thing.
You do. And smushing.
Okay, Chris, sunrise or sunset hike?
Sunrise.
Yes. Susie, desert, coast, or mountains?
All in one day here in San Diego.
That's one of the things that you can do in San Diego. You can,
and you can.
Chris, what's one peak that you would happily repeat forever?
Ooh, that is tough. In San Diego, I would probably Vulcan.
Okay.
Vulcan Mountain.
That's out by Julian. Yeah, that's a nice.
Out by Julian, got a beautiful meadow, might get some wildlife, beautiful desert views. So it's got a nice little combination.
All right.
Susie, and there's pie.
And there's pie afterwards. Yes. Susie, what's one peak you'll probably never do again?
I don't think there is one, to be honest.
Okay.
Even the
So you're
horrible
going to come
ones,
out to Red Top with me again?
I've done that twice already, so.
I'll come out for a third time.
But maybe like I just did Kilimanjaro in July, and when I finished that, I was like, I think I'll probably never do it again because I did it. And, going to Tanzania, if I went, there's other peaks. But then now that I think about it, if one of my friends wanted to do it, I would do it again.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Bring them along. I'm doing Kilimanjaro next month.
That's so
I'm excited
exciting.
about that. Yeah. All right. Last question, and you can both answer this. I'll go to Chris first. What's one hiking superpower you wish you had?
Bionic knees.
I feel you. I feel you, man. I know that.
I joke I'm on Team Voltaren with the left knee, the little arthritis. I mean, yeah. I feel naked without my trekking poles.
All right. Susie, how about you?
If I had a hiking superpower, I would want to be like my friend Matt Bennett, who is the most amazing route finder, navigator, and rock climber I know. He's so talented. And whenever we go out, he finds a better, easier way. And if I had that gift, I would be thrilled.
All right. Route finding. Okay. Those are good. All right. That was fun. I want to talk a little bit about what's next for you guys. Any new projects? Do you have like a sequel in the works for your Urban Trails book? And maybe tell us a little bit about when that's coming out and where people can pre-order, if it's available to pre-order and that kind of thing.
So yeah, the book is available pre-order. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and also Mountaineers Books. It'll be out first part of March. We are actually getting our author copies, our advanced copies, Saturday. I think UPS is promising it to us. So follow us on the socials, and you'll see we're each going to do our own individual unboxing videos, I think, and post them at some point. So as that draws closer, we'll be spending some of our hiking time becoming marketing people. If you're in the San Diego region, we're gonna do some of the classic book talks and that sort of thing, and probably lead a couple hikes around, on those urban trails as part of the promotions. Haven't picked the what and the when. We have between our schedules with Susie getting her doctorate and my master's, our schedules are a little fun. I'm back working on the Sierra Club list right now, fairly aggressively for a second time. So I'm kind of exploiting my winter break for that. So that's the near-term horizon for me.
What's any new projects or lists or adventures on your horizon?
I think for me this year, my big goal was to do Kilimanjaro, which I did, and then writing this book, which we're in the thick of. And in the meantime, I went to grad school, so it's just been really busy. I set goals every year, so this is the time of year I start thinking about it. So I'm not sure if it's going to be another project like this or mileage or specific peaks, but I'll get there. I just haven't quite articulated those goals yet.
More to come. Okay. All right. So where can the listeners follow you guys or catch up with you online on Instagram or wherever? How do they get in touch with you guys if they want to follow along on your adventures? Chris?
I have an active... Chris first, go ahead.
Either one. Yeah, go, yeah.
Let's go, Susie.
I'm more of an Instagram person, so I have a personal and then I have a hiking Instagram that's at Susie Hikes, and I post daily because I'm out there daily for putting content on there to inspire people locally and then in my travels as well.
Okay, cool. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes. Chris, how about you?
So on Instagram, I'm SD Peakbagger, SD like San Diego. San Diego Peakbagger.com is where I blog my adventures. And I have just started actually filming some of the hikes and putting that up on a very tiny little YouTube channel. So also
Nice.
SD Peakbagger. So
Cool.
yeah, I used to work in digital video about 25 years ago, like QuickTime One era. So I know how much effort people put into making those videos, and I resisted for the longest time, and finally decided, I'll break
Why
down
not?
and give it a shot. Yeah. So
Well, we'll share links to all of those in the show notes for this so that people can follow up with you
And
guys.
and also, Jeff, Chris made a website for our book, so we do have that as well.
Excellent.
He made a beautiful website for that.
What's the is it like an easy to remember name, or do you gotta put a link to it?
urbantrails-san diego.com. So, and actually there will be yeah, urbantrails-san diego.com. And there is an Instagram account that we're about ready to basically start launching. That's kind of the interesting thing working with like a physical product. Until you have the physical product, it's kind of this interesting hurry up and wait mode. I mean, it's like we have all these plans on the marketing side, things we want to do, but it's like until we can sit like, here's the book.
Yeah.
We sit and wait.
There,
we sit and go hiking, really.
The call to action is hurry up and wait.
Yes.
Coming soon.
It's interesting because the book process is a long time.
Yeah.
You submit a draft, they edit it, they send it back. You edit it, they send it back. So it takes a lot longer than you think.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, especially working with an established publisher. I mean, we self-publish. It's like, all right, you edit, done, push it out to Amazon, print on demand, or Kindle, or whatever. But this was a real publisher where they went through photos and photos that we submitted, legit, and a real cartographer with the maps, and so
that's really cool. That's really, really cool. Susie and Chris, this has really been fantastic to chat with you and to catch up and learn a little bit more about your new book that's coming out. I really appreciate you sharing your stories and your wisdom and your experience, your love for San Diego trails. I love San Diego trails as well. If you're listening and you want to check out Urban Trails San Diego, I'm going to have links in the show notes where you can do all this. So you'll be able to follow along and eventually be able to purchase this thing. So we're excited about that. If this episode has inspired you, I do hope that you will subscribe and share it with a friend who loves exploring outdoors. Until next time, keep connecting, keep exploring, and keep choosing adventure.